what's up, guys? Welcome back to What Happens in the Woods. This is our true crime podcast based in Pacific Northwest area. My name is Jessica, and here I am with my wonderful husband, Bryce.
Hello.
Hello. So this one's a lot. So there's going to be a lot of information, a lot to discuss. So I just kind of want to dive right in.
I'm ready.
Okay. So this one, we're talking about the disappearance of Susan Powell.
Okay.
Now, first, I kind of want to say this one's a little difficult to hear. It was a little difficult to research because it involves small children.
Well, that sucks.
It really does. But I think it's important to discuss just because abuse is hard to gauge what type of abuse is going on because people don't want to talk about it. There's, shame associated with abuse. It's also important because legal agencies can help and they can get involved, but I think there has to be more of a spotlight on that as well. So this is how we change the narrative. We discuss things. We bring it to light.
Let's be adults.
Adulting is good.
Yes.
Adulting is amazing some days. So this is something that a lot of people in this area are going to be familiar with because it's been back in the news recently. Susan disappeared in 2009, and there's still some ongoing issues. And I won't say any more because it'll come up.
Okay.
All right. So I also want to kind of make it clear the abuse that everyone suspected that Susan may have endured during her marriage is only that. It's suspected. So take this, info as you will. My personal opinion, and from everything I've read, it's the popular opinion, is that her husband, Josh Powell, absolutely emotionally and mentally abused her from the get-go, from the start of their relationship. Maybe I'm making this up, but financial abuse, is that a thing?
Yeah. I believe so. Because if you're earning the money and you're not getting any of it or even saving for anything, you're not even involved, but you're making the money. Yeah.
Yeah. I think money, unfortunately, when people are trying to leave an abusive situation, that's usually the first thing. I don't have a place to go and I don't have any money. And those are the two factors that contribute to somebody staying. Yeah. So I think he probably was doing that. And again, I'll get into that.
I'll have to wait to hear the story.
Yes. And it's a good story.
Not that I don't believe you, honey.
You don't know what the hell I've read and what I know. You don't know what I know.
I'm waiting with bated breath.
All right. So I researched this on Reddit, Wikipedia. There's a KSL.com article. There's also local news stations, King5.com and KIRO7.com, as well as how I first came to know about this story is there's a documentary. It's currently on Hulu. It's called Susan Powell, an ID Murder Mystery.
Shout out to Hulu.
Shout out
Looking
to Hulu.
for sponsors.
Hulu has been, Netflix and Hulu are killing it right now with all of their documentaries and docuseries about true crime, and I can't get enough. So,
and I think everybody else can't get enough too, but
that's why they're doing it because nobody can get enough. People that are really wanting to know this information and get this information are they're all over it. They're ecstatic. So yeah, we are looking for sponsors. So. Hey,
just
Hulu.
saying.
Hey. I'm going to reel it in. So, I discussed this on our first podcast where we were kind of talking about what in the Washington area caught our attention.
Yeah.
And this is the one that I was watching TV. I was unboxing, I think, like unpacking, or I was cleaning something.
You mean domestic goddess stuff?
Before I was employed outside the home. Yes. I was
a domestic engineer.
Yes. So I caught this documentary. I was not really paying attention. I was just kind of going about my business. And all of a sudden I recognized where they were showing like a local news scene on a corner, busy intersection. There's a gas station in front of a grocery store. And I had just been grocery shopping there.
Okay.
And I thought, no way, that's not my area. And it totally was. It was the exact same area that I had just been at. It caught me off guard. I was not expecting it.
Well, because especially we're in a new place, and if you're still unpacking, we were fairly new to the area, and for you to recognize that area, it definitely made your ears perk up.
A little bit, yeah. And I wasn't expecting it because when I first turned this on, she disappeared in Utah.
Oh.
I didn't think this had anything to do with Washington. So when that came on, I was like, wait, what did they go on to? Did I miss something? I left the room and I missed enough of it that they're on another episode. What the hell are they talking about? No, it was this.
Oh.
So that's kind of where my attention came from. And that was in 2018. So recently it's been back in the news as of the end of 2019. There was also a podcast in 2019. It's named Cold. And Dave Cooley is he's the guy behind it. And he's put so much time and effort into this podcast. The entire, from what I understand, the entire podcast as of right now is all about Susan Powell. There's 19 dedicated episodes. And there's many more extra episodes.
But how long are they?
They're an hour.
About an hour. That's a lot of work.
It's a ton of work, and he has
as we were talking about, even just 19 episodes, 1 hour long.
Right.
That's just what production is, not research and interviews and everything like that. This guy put in some work.
He really did, and he does have first person accounts. So he interviewed people. He talked to Josh Powell's sister. Neighbors and friends, people they went to, that Susan went to work with, and people that she went to church with. He's talked to them and gotten information and first hand accounts from them. He also knew, and I wouldn't even know how to begin to do it, he was able to request things that could be public record. So police reports, some videotapes, interviews with family members or Josh, police interviews. He has requested access to them, and in some cases he was denied. But in most cases, he did get some information that wasn't necessarily public. And there is some information that I will go over that he actually can be credited with making public. And as well as NBC did a documentary around the same time that he published this. So between the two of them, this was information that was not out there before.
Now, is Dave local or is he from Utah? Or
I don't know exactly where he's from because I mean, he went there. He researched things. He actually went and drove some of the areas that we're going to talk about. Okay. So I don't think he ever goes in to say where he's absolutely from. Yeah. I mean, he has so much information. We can't even begin to delve into everything that he had.
Well, shout out to Dave.
Shout out to Dave for sure. I want to link the YouTube page. So it was kind of weird to me. It is a podcast and it's on YouTube. So while you're listening to it, you're looking at just a screen of one picture that is basically the Cold logo.
Okay.
But he plays, video or audio from video. So audio clips from video. And then he also has, one of the things that really weirded me out was Josh Powell and his dad, Stephen, were big into digital journaling and would record their journals on hard drives, on computers, or on digital little cassettes. And
I never really heard of that. I mean, that's not something that I guess that really took off. Maybe it's a niche thing, but
I don't know. It seems creepy to me. In listening to their voices, I can picture the type of people that they are. From looking at video, from hearing them talk to police, from interviews that are given, you start to form an opinion about how somebody is and what they would be if you met them in real life. Yeah. Josh is a whiny little shit. Yeah. And his dad is just a creepy, self-centered, know-it-all. And he feels very self-important. And I do believe that that is how they come across in every capture of their voice or like a video of them. Across the board. That's just how I feel like they've come across. Listening to the audio journals, the digital journals, they're creepy. It's creepy. So we'll dive deeper into this. Before Josh and Susan met, there is a pattern that I want to establish. Josh was dating for a couple of years. She was not allowed to visit any of her family without him, go over to people's houses, go visit anybody. They were in Washington. Her family and friends were in Utah, and he would not let her go without him to go visit people.
In Utah or local?
In Utah.
It doesn't matter?
It didn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Actually, it didn't matter. But, he wouldn't let her leave without him. She eventually gets to go visit somebody.
Yeah.
And immediately she gets there in Utah, and she calls Josh, and she says she's not coming back.
Damn. So like first
chance she got,
she was out.
Yeah.
It was that bad.
This is also kind of where I want to say the financial the aspect of the financial abuse came into play. He treated her money like it was his money. And at one point she couldn't afford to go to school, and something had happened with her job and she just couldn't afford it. So he said, take out a student loan. And she did. And he got the checks, deposited them into his account, and she did not get that money. So she now owes a debt.
Wow.
That she will be paying on for the rest of her damn life.
Yeah.
And she didn't get to go to school. So yeah, I mean, it's no surprise. As soon as she got away and she could feasibly make it happen, she did.
Good for her.
Yes, very much so. And I'm sure there's a lot of relationships that he had or he attempted to have where the women are breathing a sigh of relief that they did not end up marrying him.
Oh, yeah.
After that girlfriend, he attempted multiple times to start relationships, and he basically just moved too fast and he was too intense early on. And I'm talking within a month or two. He would profess, deep feelings for somebody and just know that they were the love of his life.
Yeah.
And it was very intense.
Yeah.
At one point, he thought he was in love with a young woman that he had known for a little while, and she very politely, was, no, thank you. I am not interested in you that way, and you're actually creeping me out.
Yeah.
And he quickly moved on to her little sister.
Wow.
Same thing. He was just as intense, and he knew that they were meant to be together, and he was so in love with her, and he just didn't understand why she couldn't get on board with it. She also said, no, thank you. Just a hard pass.
Yeah. I think we all know that person in high school. We've all had that friend too. That just loved too hard, and yeah.
Well, or just it was irrational. How can you be that intense about somebody within that short amount of time, but you do it repeatedly? I could see if it happened one time and you knew that was the person for you, and you couldn't imagine your life without them, and maybe that's your person, maybe it's not. But you don't do it again 6 months later.
Yeah.
You don't have that type of lightning bolt feeling for somebody every 6 months.
Well, you could.
Well, if you're Josh Powell, you do.
Maybe.
So Susan and Josh meet in 2000. She was 19. He was 24. And at the time, he was a student at the University of Washington. They were married 6 months later in April of 2001.
That was
quick.
A long courtship, huh?
And he had even proposed, I think it was after 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Susan came from a really loving family, and they were, very attentive. And Josh had a very troubled childhood and upbringing. His parents went through